on the Go Cast Network. My name is Natalie Lipka.
I'm Wayne Frazier.
I'm Diana Domino.
And I'm Brandon West, and we're here with a great exclusive interview with Mr. Barry Katz, manager, producer of... You guys, you have a list of things. You're
clearly a list that you haven't read yet.
No, I want to get it right. Okay. Last comic standing. I'm just going to keep going. You have 20 show specials under your belt. If you don't know him, Barry Katz is a humongous entity in the comedy game. So I put a thing out there. I tweeted to what our listeners wanted to ask you since you started so many careers. And they wanted the biggest question was, what do you look for in new talent?
Somebody who doesn't look like him.
Good night, everybody. Thank you.
No,
For those of you who are not looking at this, he's pointing specifically at Wayne.
That's right. I was not pointing at the.
Aww.
I was not pointing at the charisma twins. I was pointing at Wayne. No, I think that's an interesting question. You know, it's like you can. What's fascinating about it is like. I used to say this when I was in New York. You know, I had an office at 57th and Broadway in the Hard Rock Cafe building, and I had this like, you know, for some reason I was obsessed with a corner office, and I had this little corner office that was literally like 6 feet by maybe 7 feet, but it was my little piece of heaven. It was like Penny Youngman used to say, you could. You know, in a hotel room is small, you put your key in the door and you break the window. That's how you But I used to talk about that because I always thought, you know, well, obviously you want to look for somebody who has, you know, star quality. But then I thought to myself, you know, would I want to represent, let's say Steve Buscemi had walked in my room with teeth just as bad as mine. Would I have wanted to work with him? Or if Danny DeVito had walked in, would I have wanted to work with him? And I'm embarrassed to say probably the answer would have been no. And so it just shows you that, you know, with talent rules. So it doesn't matter what you look like or how you don't fit or whatever it is. It's like you can always win if you have that thing. I just have always looked for comedians, stand-up comedians who I felt could cross over into all platforms, you know, film, television, any kind of media, you know, books, records, you know, digital. That's what I've always looked at, and that was my main thing, just trying to find comedians who I felt could cross over and do that. And some were more character-y, and some weren't, but that's what I always look for. But that doesn't mean you can't make it. Look, one of my favorite guys that I ever represented, and I represented him when I was at my other company, was a guy named Tony Cox. And you know, Tony Cox is about 3 feet tall, he's about 50 years old, and he's African American, but he's always funny. And you know, from Bad Santa to now he's in the Oz movie. And now granted, he probably only gets about 7 auditions a year because there's really nothing, you know, there's not a lot of roles. And then when he goes out, there's every little person in the world is there to audition. But he creates the moments, and if you can create those moments that blow everybody away, then that's what I always look for. And I've been fortunate enough that, you know, I have an instinct sometimes for when that's going to happen. And it's definitely not going to happen with you.
One more time.
This is my favorite guest so far, I think.
How many guests have you had so far? 2.
No.
How many have you had?
It's probably been about
24 now.
23 podcasts. Can I ask you guys, you can edit out whatever you want.
Yeah.
Like literally, you people can't see this, but there's these 4 people here, there's 3 people out there, there's so much equipment here, it's like insane. And like, you know, I'm used to, you know, going to Jay Moore's podcast where he literally has a laptop and a thing and a mic, and I go there and it's, you know, on the fly. Why are there so many people here, and what? I don't understand.
Well,
like,
technically, we're always in the studio at the Lovitz Club.
Yeah.
oh, got it.
Yeah. So we're in that, you know, that sound booth on the 2nd floor.
Got it. Okay.
So that's just all. This is just This is our
And
entree.
how
This is
did-
just how we roll.
And how did you all decide to work together? You know, like to decide that, hey, we have the right chemistry,
Mhm.
we clearly have the right tattoos.
Yes.
Because you guys are like literally like it's like
Yin and yang.
you guys are
Yeah.
like Marilyn from the Munsters here next to these guys. I just don't really understand how it all fit together.
Well, I always say that because I'm like, if you saw Brandon and I walking down the street together, you see Wayne and I walking down the street together, you're like, what are these people doing working together?
Like I
That, we
don't.
really
What
enjoy
is going
that
on?
aspect.
So you did
of
We
it.
that.
It's
love
fun.
that.
But
Yeah.
how did you all decide? Hey, we're going to be on camera. Had you ever been on camera before?
Oh,
Well,
yeah.
yeah, we're all
Yeah.
actors.
So you're all actors
yeah.
and actresses.
Yeah,
Okay,
yeah.
we can come back to my interview, but I just wanted to
Yeah.
do
Yeah,
one
yeah.
thing with you guys, real quickly. Your proudest moment in the business, each one of you, besides this interview, of course.
Yeah. I was gonna say this.
Yeah, there you go.
Proudest moment.
It's like the hashtag game.
Proudest moment in my career, I would have to say, doing stand-up and a bigger comedian that I looked up to, Shane Forbes, actually took me on the road from seeing me do 10 minutes. So that would be,
I love Shang. He's a very sweet man.
yeah, he said the same about you.
Very sweet.
Sweet man.
Yeah.
Yeah, we can talk about Shang a little later in the podcast.
Okay.
When we talk about comedians. What's your proudest moment?
I would have to say right now, honestly, being able to do this show. We get to go into the studio every Monday and we produce, write, and co-host this show together. So I have to honestly say that's my proudest moment right now.
Okay.
For me, probably when we first got together, we were writing our own sketches and filming them. So seeing my work, our work, up on its feet is probably one of the proudest moments.
Tell me what sketch moved you, like you look at and you say, this is the best thing I've ever done. What was it about? So the people watching.
Tell the viewers.
What was one of my favorite that we actually got to film?
That's a good one.
What? Go
Oh,
ahead.
I was gonna say, I don't know if this is your favorite, but how about when we remade, we did an 80s show, and we remade all these 80s movies for our
the
promos.
clips. Those were
All
fun.
these
Yeah.
clips, and he was like
Very
Mr.
cute.
Miyagi, and she was Karate Kid, and then Brandon and Wayne did
The classic scene from Planes,
Planes,
Trains, and
Automobiles
Automobiles.
in the
bed.
bed.
Yeah.
So
I actually kissed Wayne.
and I cleaned my sheets afterwards.
I don't blame you. And what's your proudest moment?
I have to say, I did a movie called Colored Eggs a few years back, and I got to work with Tom Skerritt and Faye Dunaway, and Tom Skerritt was so funny because it was his last night of shooting. There was a scene when he was throwing rocks at the window trying to get Faye Dunaway to come, look at him. And I played a guy, one of the orderlies, so we're just, me and this other guy just kind of walking. I'm like, he's out there doing this again. So we picked Tom Skerritt up, took him off, had a couple words with him in dialogue, and then at the end of the night I went back up to Tom and I said, Tom said, after all these years, if you're acting, you're in Top Gun, all these movies, everything like that, I can't believe I had to carry you through that scene. So he loved that, so that was pretty fun, yeah, so I enjoyed that. So.
That's awesome.
Yeah, it's
Okay,
good.
I just wanted to ask because I wasn't sure. I'm sorry. You can go back to the information that's not accurate.
Now, yeah.